important aspect of a very important year in aviation history. As we all know by now, 100 years is a long time. 100 years where an industry has done nothing but develop and improve is certainly something that we can be proud about. And we're very proud this afternoon that as part of the celebrations of that 100th anniversary, the centenary of aviation in Guyana, that we are witnessing the official opening of the Wings Aviation hangar. Because 29 years ago, on February 1st, Wings Aviation Limited was established. And I'm sure you'll hear more about the company from the person who is one of the brainchildren now, and who certainly is a moving force in the development of the company. And so I'm going to ask him to come forward to the podium and say a few words, tell us about Wings Aviation. Ronald Rees, who is CEO of Wings Aviation. Ronald.
Aviation is a great adventure. However, one has to work diligently on pilot skills, operation manuals, security manuals, maintenance manuals, and all the other documents required by regulatory authorities. With safety, they are stripped with 1,000 feet of concrete and grass lawns at both ends. Look at it now, 4,200 feet, well-paved runway. The area where we gathered here today was part of an old sugarcane plantation with many ponds and drainage canals. This maintenance hangar is now capable of accommodating any Bombardier Dash 8, ATR 42, or ATR 72. And Wings Aviation Limited is here to provide a modern-day maintenance facility. We would like to thank the government of Guyana, especially the GCA, the board and management and staff of OAI, and all the contractors and workmen who have helped to make this hangar into what it is today. On September the 7th, 2011, directors of Wings Aviation spearheaded the formation of Fly Jamaica Airways Limited. And we are pleased to report that Fly Jamaica received approval from the U.S. Department of Transportation, DOT, the FAA, and the Transportation Security Administration to operate commercially into the USA. The first commercial flight took place on February 14, 2013 from Kingston to JFK, New York, and vice versa. And we invite you to visit our website so you can fulfill your travel needs and requirements. In terms of Caribbean private sector integration, we've created history with the launch of Fly Jamaica Airways Limited, which was formed by aviation professionals from Guyana and Jamaica. It would be remiss of me at this stage not to mention the enormous support received from my wife Roxanne and family in building of this hangar and the formation of Fly Jamaica. And in closing, I would sincerely like to thank our Managing Director, Mrs. Roxanne Rees, one more time, and our Secretary Director, Mrs. Patricia Rees, and all our staff members for continuing to make Wings Aviation Limited a success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairman and CEO of Wings Aviation. And to show how good a pilot he is and a very safe man, he knew who to thank at the end, his wife and mom. So your future is assured, I guess. Okay, thank you indeed. Well, it was in November 1993, in fact, that Wings Aviation Limited became an ICAO, or as we say, ICAO-approved aircraft operating agency here in Guyana. And on November 21st, 2003, the company received its new AOC, or Air Operator Certificate, from the Guyana government. So Ronald, we do appreciate and understand your gratitude to the government for their support of this venture. And now, someone representing the government of Guyana this afternoon is our Honourable Minister of Works and Transport, who is no stranger to anyone here. And I'm honoured to ask him to approach the podium and address us. Minister Robeson-Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Ronald Reese, the chairman of Wings Aviation, Mr. Zulfikar Mohammed, the head of our Civil Aviation Authority, Mr. Michael Correa and Mrs. Correa, Mr. Michael of Oval Airport Inc., the directors of that company, Mr. Jacob Maseragi and others are here. First off, offer my sincerest congratulations to the Reese family for the effort they have made over these years to make this day a reality. I think that having been at this effort long enough and having realized this day speaks much to the focus, the energy, the drive, and being prepared to take disappointments along the way with respect to achieving the kind of the result that we have today. I'm particularly pleased again today to be opening a facility, to be speaking at an event which has mostly to do with the efforts of a well-known Guyanese family, in aviation particularly. And I think this effort today, this facility today, the efforts in going overseas to set up flight to make and have it flying already, is a tribute to what we can do when Guyanese, with clear focus, intend to achieve, in spite of all the chaff and the distractions along the way, what we can achieve when we work well together. I've said before again, and I would repeat, that we work best when we work well together. And I repeat again to the fact that the aviation industry, the aviation enterprise, the fact that all Guyanese of all walks of life support this effort, and I see Ms. Cyril Jesus amongst the members in the audience, a minor lady par excellence, who has had to depend for all her activities in mining on the supply route by air, that we work best together, that we have the best example in terms of working best together, working well together in the aviation industry, which is the safest form of flying in Guyana. Safest, efficient, the quality standards meet world standards, world and regional standards to ICAO and CASA now. Because as I've said, if you do not have the effort, the interest, the professional expertise and focus of people at all levels of this activity, we will have great tragedy and we will have a collapse of the industry. So again, the fact that we have this enterprise, the fact that we celebrate industry, the fact that we have this effort by the Reese family, and even though just now we did in fact commemorate, gave honor to and remembrance to those who have fallen along the way, that this effort in aviation in Guyana is a signal example of how best we can work together as a people to achieve national goals, national results, so that we could deliver a better life for all Guyanese, and particularly for the future generations, even now as we celebrate 100 years of flying in Guyana. And so I'm particularly pleased to be here to deliver a few remarks on this occasion with respect to the commissioning of this new hangar. The Guyanese people are getting more and more commingled along the way physically. I noted that this building seemed to have gone up almost miraculously over the last few months. It went up very, very fast. Ronald says the compliments of his why. We would like to have more people like us project managers in building, having delivery on time, with quality and on schedule. But the most recent example where we marvel at rapid building developments in Guyana come with the market development at Kingston. And I was wondering whether Ronald or any member of his family had a bit of Chinese in him. When I know the rapidity with which this building has gone. And so that is the other thing I want to point to. The organization, the planning, the way in which the work has moved with respect to the design and construction and management and building of this facility was one which we have to remark on and to note. And I know the large open space under which we sit, that I think this appears to be one of the widest open spaces we have in terms of a hangar now in Guyana. I may be wrong, but it appears to be that, just that. And I want to compliment the Reese family and Mrs. Reese for the work that has been done here with respect to the speed of construction, its quality, and the design too. Ladies and gentlemen, if there is anything that we can pass on to the next generation, is these examples where we show that when we believe, that when we work together, we can achieve. And this is critically important for a country at this time, that if we believe, that if we work hard, that if we prepare to struggle along the way, that we can achieve significant things, personally, at the personal level, but also for the country. And that, as Ronald mentioned, I think in 78, he said it was, well, I know it too, as a grass strip, mostly a grass strip, a bit of concrete, crop dusters around, that the dramatic improvements we've had over these years is an example not simply of partnership with other people, but it's an example of what we can achieve as Guyanese together at this location. The developments over the years, particularly over the last few years at Ogle, particularly via its public-private partnership with the government of Guyana, and the efforts of the shareholders and the managers and stakeholders of Ogle Airport Inc. That much of these developments here, this footprint that has been expanded and that has been so dramatically built on, is a result of the work of Guyanese people working all together. And so, I want to say, we must mark this moment. We must mark this effort. We must pay attention to this prime fact that we can achieve together as a people if we believe, if we struggle, if we pay attention to that, we take those things which hold us together as a people, and we can achieve. And therefore, beyond the time when we were young people and we ourselves didn't have much beyond what we have achieved at school to pass on to future generations, when we move on and beyond into the next 100 years, we can not only pass on to the future generations the fact of these facilities, the planes, the experience which they can build on, but also the fact that we will pass on to them the initial beginnings when there was only a belief, when there was only a sense of what could be achieved by self. And in this particular case, by the Reese family working together as a nuclear unit to make this all possible. And this goes across the board, I think, for all the other operators, the Trans-Guyana operations, the Air Services operations, family-type operations, working hard, developing, investing in their country, and in the belief of themselves, and in their country by that extension. So I want us to mark that. The government of Guyana, through the Ministry of Public Works and through its Civil Aviation Authority, remains committed to the path of ensuring that this growth and development continues, is maintained, is sustained, and that over the next few years, we will continue to work to have even more important developments in civil aviation. We have already spoken to about the developments at the Jagan International Airport with respect to the extension of its runway, the question, the issue, the activity we'll be having just now in terms of the construction of a new terminal building. Those are primarily intended for international long-range, long-distance flights with large aircraft. Oval is intended just now for the operations at the regional level and for connections into international flights and hubs beyond. We still see a role, and we think there's an important niche for Oval with respect not only the regional flights via Liat, which is intended, we had of course inaugural flights, but we want to see regular scheduled flights to Suriname, to French Guiana, to Venezuela, Puerto Ordaz, particularly where there's a large Guyanese diaspora there, but also into Brazil, into Belém, into Manaus, into Boa Vista, as we go ahead with the question of integrating South America, integrating our country with our neighbors and near neighbors, and particularly too, that we change our perspective southwards and westwards too, because there is a large opportunity to do things differently, which perhaps in terms of tourism, and we go out ourselves sometimes to see things, there's a great interest in, I would say, a great opportunity in moving into the rest of South America for holiday events, the snows of Colombia and Peru. Machu Picchu is not too far off for those who may have an interest in seeing that wonderful place. There are interesting sites in Brazil. The fact that we have the World Cup just now in Brazil, and I think that we should make use and pay attention to that opportunity of the World Cup coming up in Brazil just now. These are all the opportunities and immediate vistas we have towards developing this operation, this activity here at Oval at the regional level. And I think it would be viable undertakings to establish regular scheduled flights into these areas, the near countries, the near neighbors. But we must never forget that we have the continuous duty. Oval is still the most active aerodrome in Guyana. We have the constant opportunity, requirement, duty to maintain our domestic flights. The communities, even though we're pushing a road up to the Pacaranas now, coming around South Region 9 to 8, the communities will still rely on aircraft support, medivacs, foodstuff. Mining is always a voracious taker of things from the aviation industry. There are great requirements with respect to the developments for surveys. We have our low carbon development strategy, and the surveys with respect to ensuring that we meet the compliance levels for the low carbon activity. All these things would rely on aircraft operations, on satellite images, photo proofs. All of these things are required with respect to our domestic aviation. Particularly too, it is growing. We have the question of tourism. Tourism is an important niche. I'm reminded by our Minister Fanali, who is very energetic and interested, of course, acting now as Minister of Tourism and Trade. But I need to point out that our previous Minister of Tourism was a man for the boards. And Irfan has added fishes to the question of fish tourism. He was talking about people coming in especially to talk about different species of fish, to capture these fish, and simply to catch them for sport fishing. So we have had the boardman, and now we have the fishman. So, but primarily the development in tourism is an important niche. We have to integrate when our people come from out of Guyana, some with children and grandchildren who've never experienced the Guyana we have known growing up as children, that this important link, the important linkages to the diaspora is crucial for the development of tourism, because we cannot only rely on foreigners simply to come to Guyana, but I think we have a captive market potentially lying out there. Diaspora in Europe, in North America, United States and Canada, and I think we are a fairly willing captive group whom we would expect would want to come and experience Guyana as we would have experienced it in many ways in our lives, in our undertakings as we grew up and developed as professionals and operators. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, I want again to first off congratulate and thank the Oval Airport Inc. through its public-private partnership with the government of Guyana on keeping alive and realizing the opportunity with respect to the developments here at Oval, and particularly to thank and congratulate Captain Ronald Rees and his family for realizing this day, particularly when we celebrate our 100 years anniversary of flying in Guyana, and to again point to the fact that he has taken a bold step, one of many which we are taking over these many days, which will launch us into the next 100 years of aviation in Guyana. I thank you and I wish you all every success. Thank you very much.
And in fact, 3 persons who are members of Wings Aviation don't even know that this is going to happen now. So I'm going to ask, because many years ago, an incident happened and she gave birth to this gentleman on my right. So if she didn't do that, he wouldn't be here today. And as Dave Martins would say, so go. So I'm going to ask Mrs. Rees to come forward to present special tokens to 3 employees, I think 2 of whom are here at the moment. First of all, the ladies. And the first is Elizabeth James. Closest I got to this was when I started my PPL many years ago. And halfway through, Stanley Jagu, who the old operators would remember, left for greener pastures. And he left me high and, well, he didn't even leave me high, he just left me dry. So, and now, a very special occasion is the vote of thanks. And I'm going to ask Mrs. Roxanne Rees, the real mover behind Wings Aviation, or Ronald, he has to take second place. Roxanne Rees, Managing Director, to move the vote of thanks. Roxanne?
Good evening, everybody. Honorable Minister Ben, Director General, Mr. Mohammed, members of the Diplomatic Corps, ladies and gentlemen, for sparing your busy time to take time off from your busy life to come and be with us here for this very short ceremony. I would also like to thank my staff, because as we all know, no business runs well without good staff. And the boss is only as good as their staff. We could only thank 3 people today but later in the year we hope to thank every single one of our staff. I'd also like to thank Mr. Ken Thomas and his team. Ken is the contractor who did this building. I mean, we went through some really hard times, but we're still friends. And we have not changed contractors. I want to make that very clear, because I know most construction works in Guyana end up having 5 contractors. We're proud to say we've only had 1, which means somebody is very strong. I'd also like to thank everybody, our customers especially, because without you customers, we wouldn't have a business. And again, I want to thank our pilots who fly in lots of adverse conditions and who do such a good job. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, Roxanne. But now, As you can see, there is a ribbon waiting to be cut. And after the cutting of the ribbon, we will have refreshments served, and you're invited to stay back and enjoy. And I'm going to invite Minister along with Arun Chan, grandson, 9 years old, who may be aspiring to be a pilot himself, I'm not sure. You and the Minister will go across to the ribbon for the cut.